Hey everyone, in this episode we have a guest on, Dominic, and he comes on to talk about his sobriety journey. He has in fact been to treatment quite a few times. We talk a lot about fitness, the impact that it had on his sobriety. We talk about how he weighed 260 pounds at one point while he was sober, and ultimately what he did to change his overall lifestyle. He's now currently training to run a 100-mile race, which sounds crazy to me, but hey, it is what it is. If you have any questions, you can always reach us, info@realrecoverytalk.com. Enjoy the show. Here we are, Real Recovery Talk. I am your host, Tom Conrad. In today's episode, we've got Benjamin B.
What's happening, everybody? I was just trying to mimic you.
Yeah. And we also have Dom. Dom with a D.
What's going on?
First things first, thank you for tuning in on the podcast app, whichever one that you choose to use, and thank you for watching on YouTube. In the end, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, you could always reach us, info@realrecoverytalk.com. Again, I repeat, info@realrecoverytalk.com, right, Ben?
That is correct.
Did you get that email up and going yet, Ben?
I have not.
Okay.
Have you sent me the password yet, Tom?
Check your text.
No, you haven't.
Yeah. A little disclaimer: if you haven't noticed, my voice is getting deeper and deeper because it's like I don't know what's going on, but
Better not get me sick.
I'm not sick.
Might be sawdust.
I think that's what it is, because if you look behind me, this fancy new backdrop here. See the nice Dom? You see that?
I see it. It looks good, man.
Yeah.
Clean.
So this is from a company called the Wood Veneer Hub, and what these are, they're acoustic panels that have wood strips on them. So this is the smoked oak.
And what is that picture? Is that a water buffalo?
I don't know. It was at Target.
What is it?
It was at Target, Ben. It's
some kind of cow.
Well, it looks wet and it's a cow, so water buffalo works.
Yeah, with horns.
Yeah,
the
it's
water
a little
buffalo.
water buffalo.
Talking to the mic.
It's a little one.
Yeah. Well, I don't. It's all about. It fits the frame. So if you don't know what we're talking about, that's because you're not watching on YouTube. Go to YouTube. It's just type in Real Recovery Talk and it'll take you right there.
I feel like winter's coming, so Tom's getting like into more as like cowboy-esque, like puts his cow up in the background. He's showing up in his boots again as it's cooling down. He's got his tactical pants on.
These are from Costco.
Okay.
Still tactical.
Yeah.
Tactical.
These are great. These are they're like $15. You should go get some.
Tom goes through phases. July will come around. He'll be all decked out in fishing stuff.
Hence my fishing, Yeah.
Tom goes through seasons. It's
I
really
do.
funny, yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
So, all right, Dom. Well, we're glad you're here. I guess I'll do a brief introduction. Dom and I, we've known each other for a long time, years at this point, but never really connected. We haven't connected in a long time. Yeah. But I've seen you on Instagram. I've been following you on Instagram for a while, and just seeing the stuff that you put out with your son and the fitness stuff. And then I know you're doing you do a meeting, an online Zoom meeting, right?
I did. That's now shifted into the gym one. So it was that.
Okay.
Couldn't make it work anymore after moving, and so from that gone into just doing it at the gym.
Right.
Shifted the days, but yeah, I did that for like 2 years.
Yeah. That was pretty cool, and I think that was kind of brought about by COVID, I'm assuming.
For sure. Like selfishly for me, because I was like, I need to get to a meeting. Like, I need to do this. Like, how can I do this? And I'm like, well, I can just start it. And
yeah.
It got huge. It got really big, and then it was tiny to huge to tiny. Like, went through those two stages, but it was big for like almost a year, like probably 20
How many people
on
would you have on it?
The biggest was I wanted like close to 40 was one of them.
Wow.
Which was like, I was
That's
like,
great.
I don't know any of these people. And like, so it's just some cool guests I had on there too. Just like trying to reach out through Instagram, and I got some. It was fun. It was really cool. But
That's
then
good.
and then it went to like 3 people, 5 people, And I'm like trying to bathe my son while doing this meeting. I'm like, this is not working. It's not working at all.
Well, let's just, get a little bit about, tell the audience and listen primarily. And I always, people, when I say this, people always tend to send messages back. But what I'm about to say is that a lot of the listener base is families and loved ones, people that have, sons and daughters, spouses, just loved ones in general, like us, within their family dynamic, if you will. And so, as you're speaking, that's primarily not who we're talking to, but that's at least I think that's the majority. Ben, would you agree?
Yeah,
of the people
agree with that for sure.
A lot of moms and dads and grandmas and, but we also have addicts and alcoholics of the like that are listening too. But, so anyways, let's just, talk a little bit about yourself. Tell us where you're from. This isn't an AA meeting, but, just a little bit about yourself and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, sure. I get a little backstory. So I'm originally from New York. I lived there for a long time, but I played lacrosse and I played sports all growing up, but I played lacrosse throughout childhood and I got a lot of offers to go into college to play. And during high school and stuff, I didn't party, didn't do anything like that, but I really just was like, hey, I'm trying to play lacrosse in college. I don't care about college, I care about lacrosse. And got to college. Party scene is wild. It's very different than high school, right? And I mean, I still enjoyed myself, still had fun in high school, but when I got to college, I was just hit with that whole world and drank my face off. Blackout was my nickname, and
like legit your nickname?
Yeah,
that was nice.
Yeah,
good.
It was.
Mine was Norm. It's from Cheers.
Nice.
So.
Yeah. So same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I would do that, and I did well in the cross. And I got like a 0.08 GPA my first semester. And I was like, well, school fucking sucks. And after that, I was like, I got to figure it out because I wanted to play lacrosse. So I had to figure school out, right? So I had to learn how to learn. I didn't ever care. I would cheat and I would ask some girl if I could use her test or whatever it is. And I did that also in college, but I had to figure out how to do a little bit better. And so that next year, I stopped drinking. I maybe partied twice, and I was like, I'm going to play lacrosse. I'm going to go to school. I'm going to learn how to learn. In that time, I hurt my foot, and I got prescribed like some painkillers. Took them. I was like, oh, these make me feel woozy. Stop taking them. Like that. No big deal. And then, but that was like kind of in my head because I felt good, but all I could think of was I was woozy on them, right? I just felt not myself, out of sorts. It was a nice feeling, but it was not a natural feeling to me. Fast forward, I got a 3.8 GPA that semester. So I went from a 0.8 to a 3.8, which is like mind blowing. I didn't cheat at all. I studied my face off and I just like learned how to be a better student. And in that time, because of the injury, I wanted to transfer and I wanted to get out of there. I wanted to go up to Syracuse because my dream was to be at Syracuse University. To get there, I had to go to a community college to then go to Syracuse. And at the community college, All-American. I was like, our team was incredible. Everyone on our team was our professional lacrosse players now still. Like, they're very well known, like the best in the game. And we were national champions, all of these things. When we won, I still didn't even drink, but I was still dealing with this injury and I still played all the time, still did all this stuff. But once that season ended, I couldn't play anymore until I transferred. And then like a switch, like I started taking painkillers for my foot because walking sucked, everything hurt. I started to party, I started to drink. This is like the Four Loko craze. I was drinking 4 of those a night and doing pills like it was nothing. And wake up at the bottom of a 12-flight staircase, and I'm like, how'd I get here? Throw up, do it again, and go up the stairs, and then every single night. So I went 0.08, 3.8, 3.0, which don't know how I did that. I couldn't tell you. I graduated, but in my graduation, I was passed out and like knocked out, like from being uncontrollably high and drunk still from the last week. And then after that, I just started to find pills more. And then pills became too expensive. I went to another school in New Jersey instead of Syracuse because they didn't want me. And then I got kicked out of that school, got arrested, wasn't allowed to go back to New Jersey, had to go home. And I told my parents I'm an addict and started the rehab shuffle. And that took me I can go through all that too, but I went through constant turmoil with my parents, with everyone. And I went from using pills before my first rehab. When I got out, I started smoking the pills. So I went from like sniffing and maybe eating to like smoking like 30 like pills a day to like, this is not like smoking pills doesn't do anything anymore. Like, this is stupid. Like, I don't like this. I didn't shoot them up yet because then I went to rehab. I got arrested a few times and went to treatment again, and then just kind of learned how nice heroin was. That's what I learned at rehab. I learned all this stuff. They planted the seeds and all that, but I learned how to get high more. But I was like, I'll never do that. But like, I learned how to do it just in case I wanted to. And 2 days after rehab, I'm shooting up, or I'm getting someone to shoot me up, and then I learned how to do it and overdosed a few times, and a lot of people passing away throughout that time. My roommate from college like shot himself with a BB gun and killed himself, and that sent me to like the next level. Like, I went from pretty bad like junkie to like full blown trying to live on the street. Like, there was a point where I was living in New York City and living under the Brooklyn Bridge for a little bit. Like, I went from like trying to just get high every day to like trying to survive, trying to just get normal each day to full blown sleeping under a bridge. And when I could go to a house, but like I didn't know where I was. I knew it was the Brooklyn Bridge. Didn't know which way was that I could go. I know where my drug dealer was, and that was it. And
wow.
Yeah.
Ben, I feel like you probably resonate with this a lot.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. I didn't have as much college experience, so to speak, but yeah, man, it's the same story.
Yeah.
So how many rehabs did you go to?
6.
All in New York?
Yeah, like Niagara Falls, New York too, but yeah, like, so up in Syracuse area, that one twice, a detox where I'm from in Rochester, and then that was 3. Oh wait, no, maybe it was less than that. It was 5.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the Niagara Falls was 4, and then the 5th one was down here. So 5.
Okay, so let's jump to when you come down here. How old were you?
24.
Okay.
So I go, let me rewind it just a second. So
Yeah.
I am in a detox, and I've been through rehab a couple times now and been kicked out of them, did all that thing. But I got to this one, and like, I'm like, all right, I'm going to do it this time. 3 days in, and this is like a straight up detox. It's nothing else but it. And I knew how to talk, right? I'm a good talker. I'm a good manipulator, just like everyone in this game. And I talked my way through this. Like, it was nothing. I was able to get my mom to come pick me up. She picked me up, and I was a big Jordan collector at the time, the shoes, and I had a ton of them before being a junkie, and then I had like one maybe pair left, like the worst pair, because all my dealers had them or whatever. But I used that as an excuse, like, hey, can I borrow money to go pick up my shoes? And she was like, yeah. She had to drive me to like the hood of where we live. And I was like, just wait at the end of the street. I'll come right back. I got no shoes. I made up some story. I was greeted at the door with AK-47s in my face. I had to get high before I went into the house just to prove that I was getting high. It was a different dealer. And got all this stuff. Like, my drug of choice is heroin. But at this time, I did heroin and coke or like crack. And I did it all. Got it all home with me. I was really high in the car. My mom knew what happened, and it didn't even faze me that I brought her into the situation. But that night I overdosed, and it was like another level of overdose. Like I've done it before, but I just was like, holy shit, like, this is crazy. I can't believe I did this. And I brought my mom into this mix, that whole thing. I come back home, I go to sleep, I wake up the next day, and I had this idea, and I was like, my house had like 2 flights of stairs, and it like goes like this. I'm starting down the steps, and I get to like this flat part, and I'm like, I just go to somewhere cool for rehab. Like that was my genius idea. But before this, everyone's like, you need to go to rehab. You need to do this. I'll get you in. Therapist, mom, everyone just trying to do this all for me. And I was walking on the steps and I was like, I'll look it up. And like this, like it sounds so minuscule, but it wasn't, right? Like me doing that, I'm like, I got to do this myself. But I don't know anything, right? I'm still kind of, I'm a kid, even though I was like 24ish, but like I was probably like 18 in my brain, right? And so I'm like, cool rehabs. And they were like, Florida, A&E intervention. We were on intervention. We did this. And I'm like, I love that show. Like, fuck yeah. And so I was like, let's go to this rehab. And I called the guy, and this guy, Jason, answers the phone, and he's like, we can get you, he's like, I'll get you in tomorrow. And I was like, whoa, tomorrow? Like, I got to go to Florida, man. Like, that requires a lot. And he's like, what does it require? Pack a bag right now, get on a flight in the morning, and let's go. And I'm like, and I was, in my head, I was like, how can I get out of this? But my mouth was like, all right, cool. I'll see you later. And he's like, hold on, just don't get high. And I was like, okay. And then he's like, please don't get high. He's like, I am buying the plane ticket with my money, not the recovery center. Like, I'm going to get it for you. I don't know why he was doing this. I mean, now it's like his 12th step, right? But I was like, I don't know why. And he was like, just get on the plane and I'll pick you up at the airport. I overdosed again that night, woke up actually in the hospital and ran out of the hospital, got the hell out of there. I don't even know. I don't remember what happened. I don't remember any of that. I remember being in like a bodega in the bathroom, and I remember waking up in the hospital. It was like 4 a.m. The flight was at like 7:30. I got home. I told my parents I was going to Florida, and I explained everything. And I was like, we need to leave now. Like, we need to go get on a plane and get down to Florida. And they were like, they could see how serious it was, but also it was just like, what do you mean? Where you been? Like, what are you talking about? And I didn't explain anything. I was just like, let's go. And it might have been a longer explanation than that, but you get the drift. And yeah. I get to Florida, and so when I got down here, that was in 2012. It was September 12th, 2012. September 11th, I overdosed. And I came down here, and I was just sick, man. I was so sick. But when I got sober, or I was trying to get sober in New York, it was cold. It was gray. It was gross. Everything was nasty. And so my house, my detox was on Juno Beach, on the beach, like in this insane house in between like $20 million homes, right? It was just sitting on the beach, and the sun would rise and it would hit my window every morning. And like, I would keep the blinds closed, right? Because I'd puke in, I felt terrible. After 3 days, I'm like, we need some light in here. And the sun would peek in, and I'd be like, man, this is kind of nice. Like, I'm happy. I feel happier today.
What detox was that?
So the company was Recovery Resources.
Dude,
did you
my
go there?
very first rehab ever
at
20 years old, Recovery Resources. I was on that same property.
Incredible, right?
Yeah, it was a PHP back then.
Yeah, I think it's still, it was for a while, and I don't think it still exists, does it?
It's the recovery team now.
Okay.
If I understand correctly. I could be wrong about that, but
yeah, it was I
crazy. Know that property.
Yeah.
Like, man.
Yeah, man.
Hang on one second. All right, so you ended up going to Recovery Resources.
Yeah.
I mean, that means nothing to the audience, but it was a detox center. And did you stay clean from then?
So I did for a little bit, and I got like through, you do that, and then you go to the 30-day treatment, and then you go to the halfway house. I got to the halfway house.
What halfway did you go to?
It like all, whatever is all part of that. I don't even know. I don't think there was names. It was
you didn't go to
was it on Palmetto?
Yes. Yeah, we call it Palmetto House. Yeah.
Yeah, I lived at Palmetto House, dude.
So, but that was all Recovery Resources, right? It was all part of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so and then the treatment center was right, like literally around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was there, I just hung out with the wrong people, right? And they were like, "Hey, you heard of this kratom stuff?" I was like, "No, I know heroin. Like, I don't know anything else." And they're like, "Yo, you can get it and you're still sober." I'm like, sick.
Oh God,
you can get awesome. It and you're still sober.
And I'm like that didn't even, like, that sentence didn't register. All I heard was you can feel like heroin and you're still sober. That's all I heard. And so I was like, sick. And then I went there, and so typical junkie, I had $100, spend $100 on kava. That's like 10 drink or whatever it is, kratom.
Yeah.
10 of those. I drank 10 in 7 minutes. Like, have you guys ever had that?
No.
Kratom, I did not do kratom. It was like a thing, like probably when I had 2 to 3 years sobriety.
It is
when
not
started
good.
coming out.
It tastes so bad. And like,
Wait, was this at the Kava Sutra or whatever off of Lake Ave?
no, so this, I don't remember what the name was. It was kava something, but it was, it's not there anymore, but it was down. So I lived in Lake Park, right? In Lake Park.
Oh, okay.
But
all right.
this was in West Palm.
Yeah.
It was, it's like in the heart of West Palm.
Like off Clematis?
Like not Clematis, but it might have been a Vernia, I think. So it was like
Okay,
right
yeah,
there.
yeah.
It was in a corner, and I just remember when we would go there, like we walked, but did like a walk by a couple of times because we were like a little nervous, me and my buddy. And I had no job, right? I had nothing that day. Like I like to work out, but I don't want to do manual labor. I don't do it. I don't do it. And I got a manual labor job. And they're picking me up. So I did that. They were picking me up 2 days later to start it. And so I went there and I was walking by and I thought I saw the owner who was in sobriety, who had like 5-6 years clean, which was like a decade to me at the time. And I saw him in there. And I was like, oh, I can't go in there. And then he left. And then we did like a loop. And then I went in there. And like I got one drink and I was like, this is horrible. But then it hit me and I was like, put him back, ended up throwing up like off a bridge. I blacked out from it because it was just, it was like a lot. I mean, 10 of those is crazy. And I puked and I was like, let's go back tomorrow. And then we went back the next day. But my roommate, he ended up telling on us at the time. And that guy that I saw in there picked me up 2 days later to go to the job site. And this is at like 5 a.m., right? We get to the job site and I'm with two guys I've never met before. They don't speak English. They're talking to each other. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, wow, I can't even talk to you. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I got to use an axe. I don't know how to use an axe. Like, what is this? Like concrete? I'm going to get dirty. I don't want to get dirty. Like, I knew what I signed up for, but like, I didn't know. And I was on the job site for 2 hours, getting a little dirty and then like wiping my hands off. And these guys were like laughing at me. And my buddy calls and he's like, dude, you're about to get kicked out. And I'm like, of what? I'm like, from this job? That'd be sick. Like, come pick me up. He's like, no, from rehab. And I was like, yo, come pick me up. I'm done with this job. And like, I got to find a place to live. I started like making up all these excuses. And no one was looking. And I just full speed. And a little caveat to it, I weighed 260 pounds at this time.
I wanted to bring this up, but we'll get there. Go ahead.
I'm 260 pounds in Tim's. Some designer jeans, some Gucci jeans, not really, but something like that.
Yeah.
And a white tee that I bought the night before because I was like, I can't get anything dirty. And I'm just running down the street, like tripping and running into this kid's car. And I get into this car and we just drive, go back to the Kava bar. We go back home and they're like, you have two choices. Back to rehab for 2 weeks. When he said that I was like, 2 weeks? That might as well be the rest of my life. Like, I thought my world was over. To go back to treatment for 2 weeks. Like, thinking about it now, it's so funny.
Yeah.
And so this was like the pivotal point of my life, this moment. And 2 weeks or you're done. Like, go home, figure it out. So I left and I met up with the other guys that no one told on them, just me. But they were trying to find out who else did it. So they were doing UAs to everybody. And I don't know if like Kava or kratom was on like UAs back then, but like it was just starting, right?
It wasn't back then, but if you took enough, it'll pop up. I believe as an opiate.
Yeah.
It'll look real funny on the cup.
Yeah.
And we could figure it out back then. Then they came out with actual strips for it.
Yeah. So
but it would trip up like multiple things
for sure
on the cup, and you'd be like, dude,
they were testing people all day, every day. Like, talk about UA tests. Like, I mean, it was crazy. And so we were sitting there and all my buddies, like, just being halfway house people, right? And just being like, hey, you got money? Yeah, I got money. No one had money, first of all. But we're all like talking how we're loaded. And like, I spent the only $100 I had, I spent on like drinks, right?
Yeah.
I didn't have any more money. And so we're all like, well, these girls, they want to hang out with us. Maybe all 8 of us will get a mansion in West Palm. Like, let's get a like, what does that even mean? So we're all like,
What does that
we're
even mean?
researching like houses to rent.
Airbnb or something.
That wasn't even
that
a thing.
wasn't even a thing.
So we were like, yo, let's get a house. Let's rent a house on the beach. We'll all live there. Dude, we could go to Cava every night. We could have a blast. We'll be sober. We're good. Like, Cava's not a relapse. And just chirping. And I'm like, dude, this is gonna be sick. I got 4 chicks that are coming to the house. Like, this is gonna be amazing. And the next day, my counselor was like, hey, Dom, like, instead of going to group, come sit outside my office and we're going to meet and let me know your decision. So I'm actually in a chair, like probably like exactly like this. And his office is here and I'm sitting there. I don't do the God stuff. I was like, man, I don't want anything to do with this. And I was sitting there, but I felt very defeated because I got caught, right? Like, I didn't really get caught often, and when I did, how could I get out of it? But in that moment, I was like, I look up to the ceiling. No one's there. Like, I wouldn't have done this if anyone was looking because I was super embarrassed, right? And I was just like, hey, bro, like literally, like as if he was like one of my guys. You know, I was like, hey, bro, whatever you are, God, Steve, whatever you want to call yourself, if you want me to stay in rehab, just give me a sign. Like, that's all I want. And like, I'm not, like, no joke, I get chills every time I say this because I feel it. I can remember this whole moment. And my counselor comes out and he's like, hey, can't meet right now. I'll come get you later. And I'm like, all right, God, I'm going to party with these chicks. Like, that's what you want. Like, that's what you want. You want me to go home. You told my counselor to come get me, tell me he's not going to meet with me. I'm going to go home. So I go back to my group. I go into group. And I sit down, I notice the woman teaching the group or whatever, running the group, is like the woman I hate the most in this whole treatment. Because she was like this Austrian woman, like, or what, I don't know what she was. She was hard. She was a hard chick. And she had like 15 years clean or something crazy, like something like that. And she would just like she would say things that you're like, shut up. Like, but because you know it's right. But you're like, don't talk to me anymore. And it was always like AA stuff. And I'm like, just shut up. One day at a time, shut up. Stop talking to me. And she's just talking, and it's just like in the background noise. And I'm just looking down. I'm like, man, I can't wait to be with these girls. But like, why does God want me to do that? And like, it was just like I was like, it was like Jekyll and Hyde, like back and forth. It was like, I can't wait to be with these chicks. I can't wait to be on the beach. I'm gonna have my own house. I've never had my own house before. I always had roommates. But I was like, well, I'll have 8 roommates. Do I want that? It was just like back and forth. It was like, but why does God want me to have roommates when I want to be alone? And it was just like constant. And then she said something, and the only thing I wish I can remember is this, and I don't remember what she said, but it was something like, just come back, or one day at a time. Something as basic as that you hear all the time in the rooms. And it just like cut through all the noise in my brain, and I was silent, and I was like, fuck. I was like, I gotta stay. I can't do this. If I go out, like, I won't be here anymore. Like, I'll be done. And the counselor came into the room like moments later, not as fast as the first one, but moments later. And he was like, Dom, let's meet. I was like, dude, I'm staying. Whatever you got to do. I don't care. I just sat there. And from that moment on, I was in it. I was like, you want me to walk which way? Backwards? I'll do it. You want me to jump off a bridge? Which bridge? Tell me which one. I'll go do it. No matter what anyone said, I was in it. And now I'm here.
When was that? What was the date?
November 5th.
So you came to Florida when? September 12th?
Yeah. So I that whole thing was like a week process, we'll say. So like the end of October into November.
Wow.
There's so much there. Hopefully this paints a picture too. I want to like rewind for a second when you're like, when you're doing the kratom and you said something along the lines of, and go back to rehab for 2 weeks, that might as well be the rest of my life. This is the irony, because Tom and I, we see this all the time.
Yeah.
Somebody will slip up in some way, shape, or form. You tell them, hey, let's reboot, go 2 weeks or whatever, and you get the same kind of response. And it's like as if you were on the winning trail.
For real.
Like your trajectory was just on fire.
Yeah.
Like you were going to win. Like, dude, it's insane.
It is.
It's literally insane. Like you think you're going to get a mansion and you have no money and no job, and you don't know how to swing an axe. Like, you know,
what was
crazy.
So you stayed in rehab, you made that decision to stay in rehab. When did you start noticing that things were like, you were like buying into this process? Because you had gone through this process, relatively speaking. This would have been the 6th or 7th time.
Yeah.
So what did that look like for you?
So I live by the Oasis Clubhouse. So there's a clubhouse not far, but I didn't have a license. I didn't have anything. And so.
And hang on, let me pause you there. The Oasis Clubhouse is an AA meeting place. That's where like they take meetings in Alcoholics Anonymous.
Every hour, on the hour, all day long, every day. And I didn't live far, but I would only get there if people could give me rides. And I was like, I know I have to go do more. I got to meet more people. I got to figure this out because I'm not going to be with the people in the halfway house. So I was like, I had to start separating myself and just do what I was told to do and just stick with the winners. That's like stick with the people that have time. So there was a 7 a.m. men's meeting every day, and there had to be 1,000 years of sobriety in this room. Like some of these guys are 20, 30 years, 10 years. Like no one was really going to the 7 a.m. because like that's early. Even though you're up at rehab, like no one wants to do anything. But I like mornings, and I was like, the earlier I'm up, the more sober time I have. Like I would battle with. I was like, "What time do you guys get up today?" And they're like, 8, and I'm like, "I've been up since 5. I've got more time than you." And I would do this every day, and like people hated it. I didn't care. I was like, I won today so far. I had 2 more hours than you, and so I would do this every day. But I would do like I had to do something to like to find
to keep it competitive.
To keep it something to keep something like a spark going. And then I totally just stopped saying that one day. And every once in a while, like I'll mess around and just because it's like, it just brings back a laugh, you know, but I got a bike and I rode a bike. I went to 4 meetings a day, every single day for 90 days. Cause it was 90 meetings in 90 days. So I was like, how can I do better than that? And so I did 4 meetings a day in 90 days. And
wow,
I mean, like I had nothing else to do.
Right.
Bro, when people bring up bicycle, I always got to throw it in there because, dude, I think Uber and Lyft are destroying early recovery, dude. It's like people saying, I can't get a job. I can't make it to a meeting. I don't have money for an Uber. Get out of here, dude.
For real.
The bicycle, I bring it up every time somebody brings it up.
Yeah. And I got my bike, and I got my bike before I went back into treatment and then came back out, but I got it. And, when I got it, it was like I got it for my birthday, right? It was like $100, and the hurricane that swept like New Jersey, whatever that one was, that like was it like Sandy?
Sandy.
It like hit us like barely. It hit my bike. It messed up my bike pretty good. And so this thing went from like a brand new bike to like this rusted, like looked like it was 30 years old. But like I would ride it everywhere, and it was still great, but it was just like it was one day of rain and it ruined this bike. But it just made me laugh. But I did this, and I did it every day, and I got a sponsor, and I just started to just hang out with those guys and just be with those guys constantly. And I like, hey, you guys want to go, like the half of us, do you guys want to do this? And I was like, no offense, no, I don't. I'm going to go to a meeting. And they're like, dude, you go to a lot of meetings. I'm like, yeah, I know. Like I didn't want to explain myself. I didn't care to explain myself. I was like, I am on a mission to not be back here. And in that time, I was in the half house for 6 months, and they were like, "Hey, Dom, I think it's time for you to go. Like we need the bed. Like it's time for you to go." In that time, I had 83 roommates who are not with us anymore, and that was only 6 months. 83 in and out, and there was 8 people, or was it 8? 4 people to the room, but like 8 to each, whatever it was, something like that. And they all passed. Like the guy that I was in my roommate, he passed. The other guy didn't. He's still alive. He let me live in his house because he got out before me, and I was renting for free for a few months until I got my own place. And like this guy is a savior, and he's still sober and like living he's like, I just want to marry a woman from Colombia and live in Colombia, and he's doing that now. It's amazing. He like went off. He's like, that's all I want. It was just amazing. But like there's only that I got sober with, like in those houses, there's 3 of us still alive.
All those people had
Wow.
the same opportunity, though. And, like, there's little things in there that equal a winning formula in my mind. For instance, because we get to see this all the time, the patterns with our clients. Like, Tom and I have worked with thousands of people at this point, where you're mentioning you're going to a 7 a.m. meeting. That sounds to me like pretty much the first thing you're doing all day, minus, like, brushing your teeth and,
Brush
the
and
morning
leave.
ritual.
That's what he did.
But you're putting your recovery the first thing in the day, where, like, I'll be straight up, a lot of our clients, they're like, that are in our lower levels of care that just have to make their meeting attendance for the week. They're like waiting till the last meeting of the day and squeezing it in versus starting their day with that on the forefront of their mind. Did they both go to a meeting? Sure. Are they equivalent? I'm going to say from a mindset, open-mindedness, willingness perspective, no, they're not the same. Like the guy that went at 7 a.m. in the morning, bro, come on.
You got to want to go to that.
Yeah.
Like not be
Versus,
dragged.
I'm just going there because I got to make this attendance.
Well,
you know?
and
It's
like I got to get on my bike, and it's not. It wasn't down the road. Like it was like 2 miles at least down the road, and I didn't really know my direction. I didn't have a phone really that worked like that,
Yeah.
and so I had to remember the route, and then I'd get lost, and I'd be like, and I'd just wind up there. I'm like, oh, I don't really know how I got here.
I think that might be a good segue too. Like winning formula I was talking about, where here you are jumping on a bicycle first thing in the morning. Everybody that knows our podcast knows about rock. We're big on the exercise and that endorphin release. Getting on your bicycle at 7 o'clock in the morning sets your brain chemistry right. Point blank period.
Totally.
Like the benefits to that might not be considered, but I'm going to say they probably played a strong role in your day being successful. Earlier you mentioned, and Tom wanted to bring it up, but I kind of saw this as an opportunity. You said you weighed 260 pounds running off a construction site. I cannot see you at 260 pounds. You're like ripped.
Well, you could see photos, because I think you have some
couple.
Instagram.
Yeah,
photos.
and I don't even think that was even 260, which is crazy. Like I didn't know I weighed that much at the time.
Yeah.
There was an instance when I found that out, but like at the time, but I knew I didn't feel myself, so I didn't take a lot of photos, obviously.
I mean, let me give you an idea of what's sitting in front of me. In front of me, I feel like he kind of looks like Brad Pitt when he's doing the role in Troy. Like, dude, he's ripped. He's in shape.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah. Go to YouTube and you can see.
Yeah. No, yeah. But so I mentioned I was living in that guy's house, right? When I was there, like a lot of stuff happened before that, but I got to that point. I was like, dude, so we would, and halfway else we would order Domino's. Domino's was right around the corner, right? There was a pad thai
Yep.
place. We'd go get pad thai. So we got Domino's. I'm making these days up, but it'd be something very equivalent to this most weeks. Domino's on Monday, pad thai on Tuesday.
And there was a kava shop right next to that, too.
So that happened when I moved out.
Okay.
But there was. And
I know
It's
exactly.
like
where
3
you're-
doors down
Yeah,
from the
where you're-
rehab, dude.
yeah.
I know exactly where you're
I would
talking
go back to that meeting that they would run there on like whatever day, and I'd be
The
like,
something
that's Kava.
11 club. What was it
Something.
called?
Yeah, I can't
about.
remember.
511.
Was that no?
Oh no,
No.
that's a.
That's the
It,
club.
but it was
Whatever.
that I don't like. I loved that meeting, but it was. I just remember being hot and like just a warm place, and I felt weird there because of the kava. I just felt weird.
Dude, they
But-
had a midnight meeting there for years.
It was huge too, and the room was
Midnight.
tiny. The room was smaller than this.
Yeah.
It was small, and there would be like 40 people there. It was crazy.
So Domino's, pad thai.
Pad Thai, La Granja,
Oh, I love that.
Domino's, La Granja. That was
Legrand, I call it Lagrange.
Yeah.
but that's not bad.
it's not, but like I'm not eating one meal, right? Like I'm eating the skirt steak with the fries, and then I'm like, what else do I want? And like whatever the dessert was, and they sometimes they would be like, because we were the boys, we were the white boys is what they would call us, and so we would be there, and they'd be us like, try this dessert, and I'm like, what is this? And like, just don't ask, and I'm
Tres
like,
leches.
not gonna ask,
flan,
you know?
yeah.
Or we go to this other Mexican place, get like the fried ice cream, and I
La
was like, what is?
Fagata?
Yeah,
La Fagata,
that
yeah.
is
I was
my
like,
jam.
what is fried ice cream? I've never even heard of that. That
All it
thing-
is ice cream with
cornflakes.
cornflakes,
It was-
frosted
but
flakes.
so
dude,
good.
amazing.
Yeah.
Like,
Let me ask you this: were you taking Seroquel during this time?
no,
Oh, okay.
no, I did Suboxone in my early ones, and I was like, if I'm trying to get off something, why would I be on something?
Right.
And then, but then I would have to, like, they'd be like, you have to be honest. You have to be honest. When I came
I'm
here,
gonna use your quote earlier. It feels like heroin.
Yeah.
Only you're sober.
yeah, exactly. But so then they were like, you got to get on this. So when I was in detox, I think I took something like maybe like a trazodone for like when we were there for like 2 days. But I would take it one day, then I didn't take it the next or something like that. But I just was watching people take all these things, and I'm like, I feel good if I'm just like outside and in the sun. Why would I want to be inside sleeping when I could? It just didn't make sense, but it made sense, you know? And so after that, when I got the treatment, like, so I smoked, I chewed tobacco, I did all this stuff. But when I was like, I was like, hey, if I smoke a cigarette again, I'm going to get high again. If I chew tobacco again, I'm going to get, I just like everything was, it's 0 to 100.
All or nothing.
And I'm like, I might as well quit it all right now. And I never thought of it ever, literally ever again.
So how did you start shedding the pounds? Like,
So
what was that?
I'm living at so this guy's name was Zach. So he was my roommate. It was his house on a golf course, sick place. I'm in his room. And I'm like, so when I was in college, I did some nutrition stuff. I was learning nutrition. I just kind of like on the side, but in college courses when I would go to class, you know, but I remembered that. I didn't remember anything else, but I remembered that stuff. And then I always was into fitness throughout high school and stuff too. I worked out since I was 12. Like I've been working out for a long time. And even when I was big, I still had a lot of muscle. Like I still worked out when I could do, like I would bench and I'd be like, I'm tired. Like I gotta lay down, you know? So
That's like Ben right now, actually.
yeah, right. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, all right, selfies were like a becoming super popular and becoming a thing. So I was like, I'm going to take a mirror picture for like my progress, and I'm going to weigh myself. I'm just going to start tomorrow. I kind of made up a plan for myself. I drew it up. I drew a nutrition plan. I was like, I'm going to start this tomorrow. I get in the bathroom, and my brain for the last 4 years of using dope and everything, I was like, I'm 180 pounds. I saw myself, I was 180 pounds. It's my brain. I see myself in the mirror. I remember a visual of me looking 180 pounds, whatever that meant. I was like, oh, maybe I'm 190 now. No big deal. But I'm 180, 190. I'm 5'6" and a half. And and I'm sitting there in the mirror and I'm looking and I'm like, all right, cool. And I take this photo and I'm like, what the? I walk out to Zach and I'm like, Zach, who's this? Legit. I'm like, who? Like someone's in your house. Like they're in the bathroom with me. I don't know where they went. Like I was so, it didn't make sense because I was like, this is not me. Like I saw me looking a whole different person. And he was like, that's you, dog. And I'm like, no, like in the photo, not here, not me present. Like, who is this? And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not on some philosophical.
Drug test.
Yeah, like what's going on? And he's like, yo, you're a big dude. And I was like, bro, I'm like 190 max. He's like, 190 in your stomach, bro, but like you have other parts of your body. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, you're probably 240, 250. And I was like, yeah, right. In a million years. Like, no way, dude. And he's like, get on the scale right now. I was like, I'm about to. So don't worry. Don't follow me though. And he's like, I'm coming with you. Like, I don't trust your ass. And I was like, all right, fine. I was like, watch, you'll see. 195. I just kept like increasing it by like a little incremental, right? When I was talking to him. I get on the scale. It was like 263 or two. It was in the 60s. It was high. And I was like, oh, well, hold on. I stepped on it weird, right? Let me step back on. He's like, it was like maybe a pound less. I was like, dude, this is broken. It keeps going down. Like, it's not working. He's like, bro, you're 260. Give it up. Whatever. I think the last one was like 258. So I was like, oh my God. I was like, again, all or nothing. I was like, it's done. Like it's over with. 3 months, I was down to 192. And then
you lost that much weight in 3 months?
I was not playing games.
Holy cow.
I was in it. But I also had a license at this time now. And so I was going to the gym. And so like before that, I tried to get a job at LA Fitness, being this slob. And but because I love fitness, and the guy
on North Lake,
yeah,
you guys are literally the same person.
We have like the same. Yeah,
that's so funny. But so I was there, and this trainer I was meaning to get this job with, he was like, "What's your body fat?" And I was like, 18. I didn't know. Like I just making up numbers. He's like, "Let's test it right now." And I was like, "Fuck, what's wrong with this?"
This was
guy?
at 198.
No, this was at 260. So this was like months before that. But this kind of led me to like want to start doing like planting those seeds. And this guy was like, this also like plays big into my story because like I was like, I'm not going to tell anyone I'm sober, right? Like I'm just going to live life. I'm just going to not tell anyone. And this guy was like, he was all over the place. And he's like, oh, I'll be right back. He leaves, comes back 10 minutes later, like legit 10 minutes later. And he's like, why are you here? And I'm like, what do you mean? And I was like, I'm here for the job. And he's like, oh, why are you here in Florida? I'm like, honestly, man, like I'm sober. And I think I was 60 days clean. I was like, I'm 90 days clean. Like just pump it up a little bit. And and he was like, oh man, that sucks. Like, why would you do that? And then he's like, I'll be right back. And he leaves again. And I'm like, what the hell? He never comes back. And in my head, I'm like, man, like I can't believe I told him and he left. Like he's so disappointed that I'm doing, like I've never met this guy before, right? And I'm like doing this whole thing. He never came back. I didn't finish the interview. I got up. I was like, hey, where's whatever his name was? And they're like, I have no idea, man. He was just in there with someone. I was like, yeah, that was me. And he's like, oh, I don't know. And I come to find out he was smoking meth in the parking lot, coming back and forth. And he was down here too and all that. So I was like, I'm never telling anyone again, not doing this. So now fast forward a few months later and I'm trying to lose this weight. I'm trying to do this. I still drove, but I still rode my bike because why not, right? And I was just used to that. Driving was kind of weird and foreign a little bit. But I just like went to the same meetings all the time. So I was going to this meeting and I was like, I had money. I bought a lacrosse stick. So I was in Florida. Like in New York, there's lacrosse goals everywhere, non-Florida at the time at least. And so I had a stick in my bag and ball bag. And I'm like riding with my head down. I'm just like trying to find a goal. And I happen to pull up on a school. And like all of this was really close. But like in my head, I ended up going like 25, 30 miles just like trying to find these streets. And I ended up at Palm Beach Gardens, literally right down the road. But like you could just see, I literally went 25 miles on this bike to find this school. And I go up there and these kids are shooting. And I'm like, yo, you guys mind if I shoot with you? And they're like, yeah, man, come on in. And like I started shooting. I'm like, I haven't played lacrosse in a while, right? Like I've been high forever. And I'm shooting. And I just stop and like I notice these kids are just sitting there watching me. And I'm like, oh, what's up, guys? And like, yo, coach us. I'm like, all right, cool, man. Like, yeah, come back on Wednesday. This was on a Monday. And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. But like, I got stuff to do. I didn't have anything to do. I didn't have a job. I had no money. And I was living in a house for free, And so I get on my bike and I start riding there on a Wednesday. And I'm riding over. So I found the route to get there on MapQuest, right? So I'm on MapQuest. Figure out how to get
printed
there.
It out?
Yeah, printed it out. And I got over there. And I'm riding, and I'm like the school track is here. I'm riding my bike, and this car pulls up and almost like runs me off the road. And I'm like, "What's up, dude?" Like, and so I'm getting ready to fight, and like I'm also I just left the gym. Like I'm gassed up, I'm like I'm ready to go. And this guy's like, "You Dom?" And I'm like, "Oh man, what did I do something to this guy? I don't recall. Like, is he from my past? How is he here?" Like it was like this whole 30 seconds of like what happened. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, yo, you got the job. I was like, cool, bro. I didn't apply for any job. I don't know what you're talking about. I was like, LA Fitness. I was like, that's not the guy that smoked meth. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, at the lacrosse school, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, or at the school for lacrosse. And I was like, oh, sick. And I was like, this school here? And he's like, yeah. He's like, follow me in. I was like, I was trying to, but like this
you almost ran me over.
Yeah. And he was like, why are you here? Like split the conversation, was like, why are you here? And I'm like, oh, man, I'm not gonna tell him. Next thing I was like, I'm trying to get sober. This is a common thing. Like I'm not gonna say this, and then I say it.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, me too, man. I just celebrated 2 years, and I was like,
wow,
no shit. And so that moment was the next. I was like, all right, I'm gonna tell everyone. I'm gonna be very open. This guy got me back into college, got me into the gym, which I found CrossFit, and then. Like this is my industry now.
Do I know this person or no?
That guy he was a high school coach, Justin Gilkin.
I know
for Gardens.
I know that name.
Yeah. He was in the rooms. I don't know if he still is. I have no idea. We lost touch, but he was an amazing guy. But he introduced me to a bunch of people, and then
Dude, I hope
through.
some of our clients listen to this episode because we got a bunch of younger guys, early 20s, and you were 23, 24.
How old are you now? 30?
35.
Okay, good.
So, but dude, just the way that opportunities presented themselves by you just doing the right things.
For sure.
They try to force a round peg into a square hole. Is that the saying? Like, dude, and we watch this happen time and time again, and we try to explain to them, if you just live your life by principles, do the next right thing, doors are going like stuff is going to fall in your lap.
Dude,
we've got a couple of young guys right now that are just trying to force these things to happen. We're like, that's a bad decision.
Yeah.
Well, I need this job and I need to make this X amount of money. And I'm like, dude, how many times have you repeated this same pattern?
For real.
Look how this just fell in your lap.
Man, and that's like the minimum of it, right? Like it was a huge pivotal step, but it's done. Like I just keep moving forward, and I'm not looking for anything. I'm just trying to focus on what I'm doing, going through the steps. I'm working with guys. I'm trying to just do this, and I work at this gym. I go to the gym. I meet Tyler, which is like my best friend today. Still.
We got to get him on here.
Yeah. And that's easy. But like I meet him. We started meeting at this gym that I was at. Tuesday nights was a men's meeting. Wednesday nights was mixed. And this went again from him and I. It would be him and I just doing this meeting.
What gym was this?
CrossFit City Place. It's not anymore.
Yeah, it's now Palm Beach Pig.
Yeah. And so we're there and we're just
the barbecue
talking.
joint.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But we're just talking, like two guys chatting. That was it.
Yeah.
And then it was like another guy came. I met a guy at Publix. He's like, you run that meeting? I was like, yeah. And he's like, can we come? I'm like, of course, man. Bring whoever you want. They ended up becoming my other best friends. One guy, they shot my wedding in our photos. I met him at Publix. Like, are you kidding? And just like all of these things. And like this meeting grew to 35 people. Like it was huge. And then I moved away and like, again, all of these things. I got a job. I mean, everything, man. I try to be very persistent, try to keep doing this stuff, but like, I just keep working with people and doing
So
these things.
you had 5 years that you moved to Georgia. What was that all about? What'd you do that for? Just because?
Yeah,
What did you do that for?
I was like, I don't. So I hurt my back really bad, and I couldn't walk. I was in a wheelchair for a little bit. Like I hurt it bad.
When was that?
That was like I was literally in a wheelchair at regionals coaching a client of mine, and then 2018.
Regionals for CrossFit, right?
Yeah, and
Just for our listeners.
for CrossFit. And so there's a photo of me, and it's literally I look like Professor X, like sitting in a wheelchair coaching, and I was only in it because I couldn't walk around the facility, and I had to walk around. Like I couldn't stand for longer than 2.5 minutes max.
What did you do though?
It was just a herniation, nothing crazy.
Okay.
But it was sitting on my nerve, and the sensations going through my body.
Wow.
Like just like I would never wish like heroin withdrawal on anyone. I never wish addiction on anyone. It's the same thing with this. Is like it hurts so bad. It hurts so bad.
I'm going selfish for a second. It's better now?
Yes.
What'd you do?
A lot. I've done a lot. I've worked with hundreds of doctors and PTs and studied. I did a lot of honestly, barefoot shoes started it, and then a lot of rear chain work, glute work, activation. I would be trying to squat, and then I would go do banded clamshells after every squat. If I felt any different, I would do more. And I like a lot of banded work and a lot of that stuff. And I mean, I might have flare-ups here and there. Sometimes I get a spasm if I don't get by. Like I get dry needling done a lot. Dry needling really was a game changer.
Explain that to me. I don't.
So it's deep acupuncture. It's a needle that's placed into your muscle. And when I got in Georgia, they do a lot of twisting of the needle. They don't. The people I do it here, they don't do that, and it's much more, much easier, tolerable. It's better.
Does it hurt?
That hurt. That doesn't. But they do it, and then they put the stem to it too, and that feels a little funky. But
What's the stem?
electric,
Electric?
yeah. And so it does some zaps to it, but it allows the tense muscles to just go at ease.
I'm glad this is coming up too, like from a recovery perspective, because we get a lot of clients, whether younger or older, with chronic pain, with ailments like this. I was asking selfishly, because I don't know if you remember, like when Renee was here working with us, what was that, 3 years ago? And there was days like I could barely walk. I was in so much pain.
Yeah.
Well,
And I had episodes like that from same thing.
a lot of my injuries. So when this happened, when we were about to move, and so like I was like, hey, I want to move. Like, where do we want to move? Let's go to Bend, Oregon. That's far. Why to Bend? Looks cool. Let's go to Colorado. Why? Looks cool. Like, there's no reason for any of this. Georgia was like a mixture of these, not that far, and we could just make it work. And so we did it. And so,
you say we.
So I am not married anymore, but it was my wife at the time, and so and that's why we moved back to separate. So with that said, though, and all good. So it was fine. But when we moved out there, it was her and I, and she was a saint because I couldn't drive. I was like, there was times I was crying. It just hurt so bad. But I forgot what my other point I was saying. But so she moved us to Georgia, moved us into Georgia, and that's what I was saying. Stress brought on the injury even more. So every time stress was a lot more than normal. Like when we it started with my landlord that when we were here was like, hey, I'm gonna sell the house. You gotta be out in like 2 months. And I'm like, 2 months? And that's when we're like, let's just move to Georgia. So which even more is like another junkie kind of stunt, just being like, let's just go somewhere crazy and different and like uproot. And we did. But all the stress of that came on, trying to find a house, trying to do all that. And my back was worse and worse and worse. And I was so it was already hurt. And then it was getting better. I did like a seated good morning with 15 pounds on my back. And like I was snatching 270 pounds, 280 pounds, 15 pound good morning, sumo good morning. And I went down to go flat and I heard a snap and I couldn't stand up and I just fell. I was by myself in the gym. And my body went from like this to a completely crooked, and I was sideways for 3 months. And I couldn't air squat. I could overhead squat perfectly with a PVC pipe, but I couldn't air squat. I couldn't sleep in bed. I had to sleep on the ground, my feet on an air mattress. When we lived in Georgia, I could everything was I was on a ground to an air mattress to a couch to a bed finally. And I was walking. Then I started training again. And then that year, I missed the CrossFit Games by 5 spots. And I went from not walking to missing the CrossFit Games by 5 spots.
Oh, my.
Yeah, and then I retired. Can't do it
That's
again.
great. Well, Ben, maybe you should do some dry needling
Yeah.
and a lot of the band work.
Yeah.
I mean, even today, I can't squat anymore. I cannot do a good morning with no weight. If I sat here and did 20 good mornings, I won't be able to walk tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I've like figured out for myself what to do and what not to do. You know, I can't deadlift, none of that stuff. But, you know, tying it to the recovery aspect too, did you have to take any pain medications during that?
No, but I had to get a cortisone shot, and it was at a pain clinic or whatever, something like that. And I was walking in, and I had my mother-in-law bring me there just because they were like, hey, you need someone to drive you home. I didn't really know why. And I was walking, and everyone was a zombie, dude. Everyone. Yeah. And I'm like, I felt uneasy. I was like, I don't really want to be here. And they're like, all right, do you want Dilaudid or fentanyl? And I was like, for what? And they're like, for the shot. And I was like, does it hurt? And they're like, yeah, it's excruciating. I was like, but does it, like, you sure? Have you got it done before? Like, does it hurt? And she's like, well, no. And I'm like, well, then, like, how do you know it hurts? Everyone says it. I'm like, I'm good. Like, I don't need it. They're like,
I've never heard of that.
So
it was crazy.
I got a cortisone shot, and they, I think, just used a numbing agent.
Dude, I was like, listen, I am a junkie.
Yeah.
If you give me fentanyl, I'm fucked.
I'm done too.
Like,
yeah.
I don't want it. And they're like, what about Dilaudid? I was like, that's the same thing. I was like, I don't want it.
Yeah.
And I was like, are these people on this out here? And like, is this woman next to me out here? She was sitting next to me closer than you. And she was like drooling. And I was like, is she on this? And they're like, well, on one of them, I got to look at her chart. And I'm like, just hit me. I don't care if it hurts. Like, it'll stop hurting.
Yeah.
I'm good. And I got the shot. I was like, that didn't hurt. Like, literally, and I'm not like this tough guy. Like, I'm like,
yeah.
I don't care to be like, oh, I'm in pain. I don't care about
It's like
that.
a pinch.
It was a little pinch,
Yeah.
and like it was numb. And then after, I was like, I could probably work out tomorrow. Like, I was like,
Oh,
what do
really?
you mean? Like, not really, but I was like, if I could walk well,
yeah.
I would work out in 2 seconds. It was like, I was mind blown. I was like, I'm totally fine. Like, I'm good. And again, this whole time I've been under anesthesia once, and that messed me up for like 3 days. I was like, I can't.
So interesting the way that spirit of the universe works, man. Like, The cortisone shot did nothing for me, but going back to the spirit of the universe thing, I was literally just talking to someone that I'm really good friends with. I'm not going to say names or anything because it's their business, but just to give a snapshot idea, this person has close to a decade of sobriety, had a procedure done. I won't say what it is just in case. I don't want people figuring out this is his business, but he legitimately needed pain pills, and took them for a day and a half. Called me a few days after the fact just saying my phenomenon of craving is through the roof. I have this obsession from a few Vicodin.
I can't even
and
imagine.
In my opinion, the way I was hearing it, really beating himself up that he had this obsession, and again, it's a medical procedure, but that's where I'll only speak for myself. Like you just said with the fentanyl thing, like if they gave me a fentanyl patch or something or whatever, dude, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like that, I can't even take one Vicodin.
No.
Or my brain will not turn that off.
And let's just say, even if it does, I'm just not taking a chance that it might or might not. Right? It's like, hey, pain does go away. It's just like maybe not right then. Like maybe the next day. And I've been sitting with this back pain for 3 months. Like I don't think the pain of getting something to fix it is gonna hurt for 3 months. It just didn't make.
Yeah,
it
the
didn't
risk
equate.
versus reward.
And the other part too is and I bring it up because we get clients here, like I said earlier, with chronic pain, and they'll say there's no way I'm going to be able to leave here and not be on Vicodin when I'm like, what are you talking about? And then at the same time, like us being fitness guys and in that realm, how much pain management how much pain can be relieved as a result of lifestyle change,
totally.
strength training, whether you got to start small and work your way up, whatever the case is. They're just turning to, I just need something I can take to make me feel better.
Yeah.
We have that here literally right now where there's a gentleman, I can't get him to get out in the gym to do any physical activity, nothing. And he says, because he has pain. I'm like, come out here and let me walk you through it and pick some. Oh, you don't understand. I'm like, dude, I just want
just go walk, man. Like I walk 7 miles a day on top of everything else. Like that's just a part of, instead of my bike riding now, I walk. I wake up in the morning, my dog's ready to eat, and then we go for a walk, 1.5 miles out, 1.5 miles back. I get coffee in between. That's our morning walk, and we come back home. And it's like, this is what we do every day. And we do it later in the afternoon. We do that. And then maybe some more walking here and there in between, but at least 2 of those walks. And that starts and ends my day. And it's like that. If you just do that, you will be more out of pain than if you just wake up, go to your computer, go to your couch, start watching TV, whatever sedentary thing you're doing. But that's changed my life. I take almost 20,000 steps at a minimum a day, and then I train. So it's I'm always doing something.
I make that announcement to our clients so every Tuesday night at group, we implement a workout into that group Tuesday evenings. But that's the evening where I take a moment to, talk about the benefits of fitness and recovery and get a little into the science behind it, stuff along those lines. But, and I do make the announcement and make it quite clear, you don't have to be a bodybuilder. You don't have to be going for the CrossFit games.
Yeah.
Go for a walk once a day. Start with a mile.
Yeah.
It'll change
start with
everything.
3 minutes. You don't have to go 6 5-minute walks a day. I try to get, I have a lot of clients that I work with, just nutrition wise and other ones, and they're all over the world, right? And I'm like, I don't know where you are, but can you walk somewhere for 5 minutes? Yeah. How many times a day can you do that? Couple? Can you do it 5? Can you do it 6? Yeah. 5 minutes. 5 minutes is so doable. And then it's but if I'm hey, go walk for 30 minutes, they're whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, I can't find the time.
But they do it. They make it work. They're walking in between their calls, on their calls. And they're I feel so good. And I'm I'm so happy to hear that. You're putting in the work just to walk a little extra each day. And that's all we needed. And then now you're hey, what else can I do? You want to go to the gym? Yeah. Yeah. What can I do in the gym? Go walk in the gym too. And when you walk in the gym, maybe go bench press or whatever, just making whatever. But that's the pill. That's to get them started and just to keep moving.
There's a lot of studies now too that have come out that just all-cause mortality decreases greatly just by adding walking into your...
Yeah.
Because most people, live... And it's funny, a lot of times people think, oh, well, I walk a lot. And it's like, well, do you? Because if you actually track it, and it's interesting, this is funny.
Yeah.
1,981 steps is all I have so far today.
Yeah, I've done that.
And this is
before 7.
Yeah, I mean, and the reason I started wearing this is to draw attention to it.
Love it.
And it's something small. I bought this on Amazon for like $6.
Yeah.
And it's
You
more
don't need
accurate.
this, right?
It's more accurate, I think, than a watch, because a watch, it just, if you're even moving your arms,
Totally.
it's gonna. So, but I say that with the point of, it's such a, like, we need to lower the bar for people.
100%.
I was just
when
gonna
it
say
when
that.
it comes to this, and a $6 investment. I snap it on. It says I got 2,000 now, but
Well,
Flip it.
think about the addict mentality too, because me being an addict, and you sound the same way.
Yeah.
Both of you are.
100%.
Where, I mean, I'll call it what it is. It worked for me. Where like I'm jumping in the gym, I'm all in. I'm neurotic, and I'll stick to it though.
Yeah.
A lot of people aren't like that.
Absolutely.
And they as this addict mentality, they'll say, well, it's all or nothing, and they set the bar so high with something that's unreasonable as far as time management. Like, oh, I'm going to go to the gym twice a day, every day for.
Yeah.
You're not going to achieve, or they're going to do nothing.
Yeah.
And it's like, even the walking thing, like, I'll be straightforward with you, and this was my mentality. I kind of didn't look at walking as cardio at all.
Yeah.
Point blank period. If I wasn't going for a run or doing some sort of CrossFit or lifting, it wasn't a workout in my book.
Totally.
And since I've been prepping for this bodybuilding show, Billy's had me doing the walking.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, at first I'm like, this is stupid.
Well, also, it's all you can really do because you're dying, right?
Yeah.
Because you're already exhausted from cutting.
But I'll be honest, it's taken me a year to get there mentally, but I'm like, this really is cardio.
great.
It really does work.
Absolutely.
But
Well, it's the most now prescribed form of cardio, because a lot of people, and again, I reference Mind Pump all the time on our show, but there's a new, finally, it's kind of coming to light now that, like, years ago people would utilize cardio for fat loss, and it's like, that's not the number one way to lose fat. It's in fact strength training, resistance training. And it's funny, yesterday I saw this thing on Instagram. This guy posted, or it was a repost from somebody. This kid ate a 1,400 calorie Blizzard from Dairy Queen, and he wanted to show how long it would take to burn 1,400 calories just running.
Yeah.
And it was an Apple Watch, and we can debate, they're
It doesn't matter.
not very accurate, or who knows how accurate they are, but 11 miles he had to go out and run to burn off this.
And with that said, too, it depends on his pace. It depends on, so 100%, like 11 miles for him, maybe not for you, maybe not for me.
And
Maybe
I
that's for
can't
20.
run. I wouldn't be able to run. I'm lucky if I could run a mile.
Well, so saying that too, right? So I mean, I've been walking obviously for a long time, but with the intention of trying to get more steps in and doing that. And I get it, and I understand it, and I prescribe, and I do these things. So we were talking a little bit about before this, but like, I've been training for these like ultra marathon runs, and I am an addict, right? So I'm like, when I run, the only running I know how to do is to run into the ground and die, right?
Like David Goggins.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, I can run a 5-minute mile, so I'll run a 6-minute mile for 11 of these miles. And so I hate running. Like, I hate it. I'm done.
Can you really run a 5-minute mile?
Yeah. So, but so with all that said, I have not ran that fast in very long. And I've been training for this for almost 12 weeks now. And I went from like when I did like a half marathon, and like I couldn't run 6-minute miles for a half marathon, right? I didn't know how to do that because did like 7-minute miles for like 8 of those miles, and then I just like started to die.
That's incredibly fast.
So for sure. But like my point is, so I got done with this half marathon. This was in 2019. I got done with this, and I'm like, I will never run again. That was the worst thing I could ever do. It messed me up for days. I was like, I couldn't do that ever again. Now Tyler was like, yo, you want to run a 100-mile race? And I'm like, my instinct thought was, are you joking? And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And then I'm like, let's like, what do we have to do? And it's like, so like part of our training is like, all right, let's learn how to run slower for longer, not look at our pace, just look at our heart rate, right? And I'm tying this back into walking too, right? So understanding, I hated running, man. I hate it. And like I said, like tonight I'm running 20 miles. 20 miles? If you told me this last year, I would laugh in your face. I was like, that's not the same guy. Like, you're crazy. Just like you tell me I have 11 years sober, you're crazy. Like, that's nuts. But when we started, I would run hard, and I'm like, okay, my heart rate's now from like, you want to be like I try to hold my heart rate between a 126 and a 136 beats per minute. And so sometimes it goes a little over, but that's where we try to hold it. And when you're running faster, for those, like I said, I was running like 7-8 minute miles, 6 minutes. When you run 5 minutes, you're at a 190, right? I'm running a 190 heart rate. I'm dying. Body's starting to give out. Like, we're done. I'm at this 126, and I'm able to get a little bit more mileage. Every week we're adding more. Just a little bit. I have fallen in love with running. Like, it's slow, it's easy. We're running like a 12-minute pace. I don't care. It doesn't matter. The whole objective is to learn how to run slower for longer, get a nice sweat in, and just tack on the miles. So, I bring this back to like, I don't hate running because I'm not trying to kill myself, right? I don't hate walking because I'm just walking because I like to walk. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's a nice, like, yes, it's exercise, but I don't think about it like that. You don't have to think about like, oh, I need to get 10,000 steps. It's like, hey, I just need to walk 5 minutes, whatever that means. If that's 5 miles, not really, but just arbitrarily, and just seeing that, or if it's like 20 feet, right? I had a client who was 340 pounds. We got down to 205 with this guy. And like, all he could do was walk. And then we added a vest. And he had walked with a 50-pound vest. He walked from CrossFit City Place to the Okeechobee Bridge, and we walked back. It would take 2 hours to do this walk. And like, that's what we did every day. And he came back as if he was working out for days, just sweating. But like, he lost all his weight doing that. And then we started doing more stuff, and he was doing push-ups. He couldn't do one push-up on the wall, and he's doing push-ups on the ground. Like, it was amazing. But just showing that, like, going from hating running to now I'm running 20 miles tonight. It's going to be 4 hours long, right? And it's going to be slow. We're going to be chilling, make some pit stops. We're going to walk. If our heart rate goes above it, we walk. Like, no ego involved. Does the ego come in? For sure. I'm like, we got 0.02 miles left, and my heart rate's too high, and I have to walk for point. And like, if I walk 2 more steps, I'll be at 0.02. But like, I got to walk. And like, that is everything, dude. Like, that has changed my life and my thought of training and everything just from these last 12 weeks of doing that. But that can go into so many things, right? It just has helped me with my ego inflation, because it comes up, it comes back, right? It's not, I can get competitive, and also I don't care, right? I just want to do this task and learn how to do it the best and not get injured, and just see what I can do, right? Do
you have a running coach or no?
I do now, yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't for like 8 weeks, and I hired one because we have a race, a 50-mile one coming up on the day of your date on December 16th. And so that goes all through the night. And then our plan is Leadville 100-mile race in August. And our goal is to get under 25 hours to get a big belt buckle. That's it. Who cares about a big belt buckle? Not me, but it's like, that's
Tom
what you
would wear
get.
A big belt buckle.
Yeah.
It is.
I mean, I'm going to wear the shit out of it just because, but like, I don't need that. I just want to be like, hey, I did this under 25 hours.
Nice.
And like, I can't wait. And if I don't do it, I'm going to finish it.
Maybe I should take up running, Ben. What do you think?
Tom, the day that you take up running, I support you.
Do you?
I do, 100%.
So you're wearing Vivos. You like those?
Love them, man.
Yeah.
Love them.
Have you ever tried the Flux?
No, so the company I work for, we have a partnership with them.
Oh, okay.
So we get I'm just like, it's just easier.
Yeah.
But also I started it before I worked for the company. I was like, these are great.
I had a pair.
It helped me with my back. Like I can feel my toe, and like I did a lot of research on the back injury where I had it. I had the injury in college. So my back injury started when I hurt my toe when I started painkillers. So it started all the way back then, and usually it comes from that because I wear a size 10.5 shoe.
Yep.
I was wearing a 9.5 cleat in college because I felt faster, right? And no one, and they're making me $1,000 custom orthotics, but they didn't work. All I needed was a bigger shoe. It was
and
crazy.
allow your feet to be able to move freely.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ben, maybe you should try that.
Yeah,
Get some Vivos.
I'm literally sitting here thinking of that.
Dude, they're so
They got
good.
a ton of different styles.
Yeah,
And
these are my favorite ones. These are a newer one. They also have a CrossFit Metcon shoe, the Modus ones. Those are fun. Those are cool. But my favorite, these are my new favorite ones. But the ones that I've used the most have been the, it's like a trail shoe, and I would train in them all day long. I love them.
Are you an ambassador for them?
I wish.
Yeah.
I wish. I like I said, our company is we have codes for it and everything. But
There you go, Ben.
Yeah.
Get 10% off. Use code.
yeah, I think it's 15.
15.
Even better.
Nice.
So we're running out of time. I do want to talk though a little bit about what you are doing now, as far as because it sounds like your primary career, I suppose, is training people.
Yep.
Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I worked in the gym 96 hours a week, right? Doing that for the last, we'll call it 7 years. And then when I moved to Georgia, I was able to get into the remote coaching business. And I was doing that before, but that was 13% of my business. The rest was in person. And now I don't train anyone in one person every once in a while in person, but 99% of my stuff that I do is all remote throughout the world. And so I work with a CrossFit company at first, and now I work with a company called Functional Bodybuilding, and we train people I have people in Saudi Arabia, Australia, New Zealand, Dubai, Europe, India, everywhere, and then all over the US. And so that, and I do training with them. We have also templates that we do with a big 20,000 people, something like that we do with them also. And then I also run a nutrition thing with the company, and that's we're really putting a lot of attention on that because that is really what most people care about. About 80 to 90% of our business, they're hey, I want to train, but I want to look this way. And it's well, how do you eat? And we just have found out through all of our research with all these people, really no one actually cares about the training, which is fine. It should be second to that, but I have found that's my newest. I've done nutrition since I started because I started with myself and used myself as a guinea pig. And throughout all the years, I've taken 1 million courses, I have so many certificates. It's unbelievable. And I just have read so much about nutrition. I've tried every diet for a long time, long periods, nothing less than 6 months and up to 5 years with veganism. And I've done everything. And, just so I can make sure I am prepared and have firsthand experience. And I got that way. I did that because of I wanted a counselor who has been through recovery. Mm-hmm. I wanted that. And then I don't need that, but that helps. It's they just know, right? And I don't really do bodybuilding, but I went from eating 5,000 calories a day to 1,600 over 16 weeks. And man, I developed an eating disorder from that. I was a mess just from doing that. But I've been through it and I'm surviving and I don't struggle with that anymore. So I've tried to do it all.
What do you mean doing just that cut in general gave you an eating disorder?
So I just developed, I ended up, I would go, and this is when I was still vegan too. So I was just getting
You ate 5,000 calories being a vegan?
Oh yeah. I would eat 200 grams of protein a day, 600 to 700 grams of carbs. And the varying on the fat, but from 40 grams of fat up to 90 grams of fat. So I would be all through the map. But yeah, during that, but I went from that and dropped down to, so I normally sit around 175 pounds. When I was in that, I was 162, and I was bone dry. I was lean, I was ripped, and I was a mess. I was I couldn't lift anything.
Yeah.
I was still strong, but not in my eyes, like not what I wanted to do. And
Well, you probably weren't near as strong as what you could have been.
totally not. I mean, when I went back from veganism and I got off of that, like, I mean, I was back squatting like regularly, like the max I was doing was like 375, 385. The most was like 400. And that was at like the pinnacle when I started with veganism. 2 months after going back to meat and like animal base, I mean, I was doing 415 pounds or 405 pounds for 5 reps.
Wow.
And like, I couldn't even do that for one when I was doing, like when I was a vegan, you know, and I was doing it in Georgia, in the dirt, in my rig at my house, in my Vivos. Like, it was just like, it was sick. It was cool. Yeah.
Well, this is fun, Ben. What do you think?
Yeah, dude, that's been good. I enjoy these conversations. We go from the recovery, the nutrition, the fitness stuff. It's right up my alley. I was kind of thinking about that. Like, I'm like, you know, we're primarily a recovery podcast. We talk a lot about fitness, but at the end of the day, I don't want to change who we are.
No. Yeah.
Dude, like,
It's real.
yeah, man, and life is good, and it's a big part of my recovery. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Do you want to plug the company you work for?
Yeah, functional bodybuilding. Marcus Philly, he's the founder of it. He owns a company, but yeah, Marcus Philly or functional bodybuilding.
And they can just go on and sign up there. Now, is it like athletes or is it just
No.
everyday people?
It's mainly everyday people.
Yeah.
Like, it's not in the CrossFit space anymore. There's a lot. It comes from it because we all came from it, but
Yeah.
it's actually like CrossFitters that have found that bodybuilding helps with CrossFit and helps rehab, and it's a lot more of like rehabilitation for a lot of people. And it's just people. It's like our slogan is like, look good, move well, right? And like, you want to be a healthy 80-year-old. Like, that's what it is.
That's what I want, Ben.
Yeah,
I want to look good and move well.
yeah.
I'm
Functional bodybuilding.
I'm getting
It's kind of
there.
like, are you familiar with street parking?
yeah,
They're good.
yeah. Great.
Yeah,
Miranda's awesome.
Miranda. And you know Stan Efferding?
Yeah,
He's coming on the podcast.
that's sick. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Probably,
That's
hopefully in the next few weeks.
That's
something like that.
huge,
His
man.
mom died from a fentanyl overdose 2 years ago at 78 years old.
Oh my god.
Can you believe that?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I can, but that's crazy.
I saw him at the Olympia.
That's
And I had talked to him before, and it's not like we're like big, great buddies
Yeah.
or anything, but
you
he has
will
the
be.
vertical diet. Yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully we will be. He has the vertical diet, and he was. I got introduced to him through. Do you know Mark Bell?
Yeah, dude. I love Mark Bell.
He was on this podcast.
Was he really?
Yeah.
No way.
I flew to California
That is
to
sick.
interview him. I was going to interview him and his brother.
Wow. Yeah, 'cause his brother, well, whatever, but
Yeah, I mean, his brother had his issues,
Yeah,
and
his
he's
issues.
clean. But Mark's other brother died from an opioid
Yeah.
overdose, and
dude,
so
that's sick. I did not know. Well, that's not.
Yeah,
that you
I've-
had Bell.
yeah, I flew out there and got to train at his gym, and this was in 2018.
Okay.
So this was long time ago.
Yeah, feels like ages.
Yeah, but got to work out at his gym. Do you know? I'm trying to think of who else. Do you know Brad Jensen? He's the sober bodybuilder
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
on Instagram.
Yeah,
He was
that's
on.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
He's a good friend. Well, not good
Yeah,
friend of mine, but you know,
who
we
you-
text.
You
and-
need to get is oh my god, what is his name? The guy that monster. He just subbed for like 3 years. Joey Swole.
Joey Swole.
Dude, you got to get him. I love that guy.
I've been telling Ben, you know, like get on it.
Dude,
Do you know him?
no.
No.
I tried to reach out to him to come on my meeting when I had it.
Yeah.
And I mean, he gets probably, I mean, that's his life is getting DMs and putting them online, right? So it's like, I can't imagine his
yeah.
inbox.
Yeah, he's got a crazy
I
inbox.
cannot imagine, but I love that guy. He's the opposite of what you expect, and that's my favorite.
Well, I want to reiterate. I've said this in the past, but the thing is like those dudes that look big and scary to the average person that's not familiar with the gym, that doesn't work out, they are the most loving, kind, giving people that you could possibly come across. Because think about this, like if you're a newbie walking into the gym, the people that I'm going to be intimidated of are the dudes that are just huge bodybuilders, power lifters, smashing the weights down. But at the end of the day, if you think about it, probably all they want to do is talk to other people about what they do and share their knowledge and love for it.
Like 90% of them, for sure.
Like, dude, I love it, man, where LA Fitness gets busy, and I go there because it's convenient. They got the kids club. You know, if I could have a smaller, quieter gym, I would. But one of my favorite things is that a lot of times when it's crowded, man, all the benches are taken up, the dumbbell benches, you know, and there'll be some young kids next to me, the little high school groups, and you could tell they're waiting for one, I'm waiting for one. And they're like, were you next? I'm like, dude, why don't you guys, we'll all work in together.
Yeah.
And then we get to know each other. Then I get to be friends with them on Instagram. And these kids are like 15, 16, dude. And like, I love that, man, because they're asking me questions. I'm getting to show them what I love. They're passionate about it. So you're like helping the next generation come up.
For sure.
But the fact of the matter is, dude, they're like, I love being able to help people in the gym. You know, once in a blue moon, someone will come up to me and be like, hey, man, you want to cut? Like, what are you doing? And they start telling me their story or their goals and what they want to do.
Yeah.
And
I mean, dude, everyone just wants to talk to other people. Like, especially now after going through the COVID stuff. I mean, like I worked out at my house. I just want to go to the gym now. Like, I just want to talk to people at the gym. I love the gym. I work out. I will always work out. It's never not going to do that. But like, people just want to talk to people and want to ask them questions. And like, especially with what we've been going through, is just like, that's all people want. And you just saying that is like, recovery has helped me understand that people just want to be involved, and I want to give back to them in whatever way. That's why I love my job, because I do Zoom calls with these people. Like, that's how we talk, right? Every week or every month. But I'm talking to people every day, all day, and we're just having conversations. We're doing some 12-step stuff, right? But maybe not in recovery. Some recovery, or some about their family members. But like, it's just, we just want to talk. We just want to help. And people have questions. There's so much stuff out there. So it's like, hey, this guy knows what he's doing. Let's talk to this guy. Whether it's right or wrong, right? Like, it's neither near here nor there, but it's like, let's have a conversation. You get a connection, and it's like, you can be friends for the rest of your life from that.
Something I do in the gym intentionally too. Once in a while, I'll put both my earbuds in because I'm just in the mood. I need loud music. I'm not feeling motivated, and maybe I just need to be to myself. Yeah. But the majority of the time, I would say probably 70 to 80% of the time, I work out without earbuds.
Yeah.
Or I'll only have one in, or I'll only use them at the beginning of my workout to get me going, and then I'll pull them out.
Yeah, love it.
Halfway through. That way you are approachable, and because it's awkward when you're like, someone try to talk you. Hold on, let me pull this out of my ear. You know?
Yeah, I have not listened to music working out in a long time. Yeah. So, like, if in the gym, like if it's playing, but like, for that reason, I'm like, I just stopped doing that, and like I like to be dark. I like to get a little weird. But like, especially on our runs, like, there's no music. We're just running, listening to the sounds. But yeah, like, for that reason though, I had to go to LA Fitness for a little bit, and I was like, it was weird. Everyone was asking questions. I was doing like weird stuff that you don't see at LA Fitness, right?
Yeah.
Like what?
Like push jerks, right? Like, like you don't see that, and like literally everyone was like just watching me, and I'm like, can't wear headphones in here, you know, and not that I would have, but I was like, that was the first thought. I was like, I can't wear headphones in here because it just, like, what am I going to do? Like, I just keep taking them off. That's annoying. Like, it's super annoying. Yeah. And like, I don't mind, I can get in and out of it, but I don't, that changed for me even more because of that. And I was just like, I couldn't even work out I stopped going to LA Fitness for that reason. I couldn't work out there anymore without getting bothered. Yeah, I was like, this is crazy.
Well, it's not your style of working.
No,
out.
not that was, and I was also waiting for my gym, but for that reason, I was just like, I can't do the fun stuff that I wanted to do without getting questions, and I love answering them. But like, there was a point where I was like, holy smokes, like, this is crazy.
Yeah, sometimes I do have to say, hey, I don't mean to be rude, but
give me 5 hours.
Finish it.
Yeah. Huh. Well.
Yeah,
that's cool, man.
This was fun, man.
This is great.
It was long.
Yeah, dude,
hour and a half.
Oh, wow. And I've enjoyed every moment.
Yeah, we could probably keep going.
And dude, we definitely have the title.
What?
Feels like you're on heroin, but you're sober.
Yes.
That's probably the greatest quote I've heard on the podcast
so good.
ever, dude.
Everyone said that, man.
Oh, man.
Maybe I'll title on YouTube as like clickbait.
Yeah.
How to feel like you're on heroin but still be sober.
Yeah, I love it.
People click that all day long.
100%. You're going to get some new audience.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me wrap this up. All right. That is it for this episode of Real Recovery Talk. Thank you for tuning in. In the end, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, you could always reach us, info@realrecoverytalk.com. Again, it's info@realrecoverytalk.com. And ultimately, we want to help you turn your mess into your message. That is it. We will see y'all later.